There's a place, a school, an institution where a professor resides. One that for the past 30 years has traveled the world teaching others. A pioneer in America of the fighting science of Savate. One who codified the sports of this fighting style. One who has produced clubs, champions, and continues to develop. Listen to words of Professor Buitron.
Hey guys, hope everybody's doing well. Thank God we are here at the school. We have a great topic that's coming up, and this was a father that called me, and he was talking about martial artists and attitudes and stuff that's going on, and how is there such a thing as bad martial arts schools and good martial arts schools, bad martial art instructors, and what he was kind of hinting at, and what he was main was, can martial arts be used for doing bad things? And I'm going to answer that question, and I'm going to answer that question because it is a subject that many martial artists and martial arts instructors, colleagues of mine and friends of mine that have schools, do not want to talk about, really, and can martial arts be used to do wrongdoings? Yes, they can. They've always been. There's a good side to the coin, there's a bad side to that coin, the yin and yang, if you want to take that impression. Martial artists, only because a lot of people are under the impression that if you do martial arts, you have a good moral compass. A large majority of us do, okay? But there's a large majority that do the martial arts for other things. And that kind of gets into, how can I say, the underworld and shady characters and so on and so forth. So you have good and bad like everything else. You have doctors with good bedside manner, and then you have some doctors that don't. And you have good lawyers and bad lawyers. You just have good of everything. The moral compass comes to a person. Usually, a student's going to reflect what the instructor gives them. I would say that's about 85, 90% of the time. They're going to reflect the ideology that was instilled to that student if that student has been training there for a while. Understand? There's a lot of martial arts schools out there. There's a lot of good guys that are teaching, and they're teaching opening to the public. They allow everybody to come in. They allow people to come in and train. There's really no vetting going on in the martial arts. Should there be? Maybe, maybe not. Usually, when people come into our school, and we'll touch base about that in comparison to others, you have to really question them and question why they want to do martial arts. Yes, and I'm gonna break it up into 4 different elements in a little bit. But first of all, I want to tell you all this. There's a lot of parents that are looking to discipline their kids in a martial arts school, and then they get home and they don't pay attention to their child, and their child does whatever they want. Martial arts, just like school, you not only do you have to you go there and you learn in those specific hours, 1, 2 hours, whatever it is per week, 3 times a week, twice a week, whatever you go. And then after that, you also have to continue with good manners and good habits at home. It's like kids going to school. You got kids going to school, and they might be doing great at school, and they get home, and the parents don't care if they do their homework or not. Go out and play, come back late at night, doesn't matter. Little by little, those habits start catching up to you because they become embedded into you. All right. So when you start with good habits in the beginning, and you have an instructor that pushes that forward towards that, you're going to develop those type of characters, those type of characteristics. You're kind of absorbing that. That's the good sense of it. You have a school that always talks about respect against others. Be cordial, open doors. You know what? Yeah, we're sparring, you hit me a little bit harder and I hit you, here's the respect, let's continue going forward. You develop that fellowship. And you have schools that you kick as hard as you want, and if the guy gets hit down there, your ego goes up. Oh, I'm the tough guy here. Let's go against the other one. You have those schools as well. Okay? When I was growing up in the martial arts here in Laredo, Texas, I trained with my uncle, and I trained with one of the coaches in school, because he used to take us to the tournaments. And there were other schools here. We all knew each other. We all knew where we came from, even the boxing guys. And some of us became very good friends, and we would spar. And there were some schools, one in particular, that, they'll pick fights in the street, parties or what have. And they'll always pick fights between 3 or 4 against one person. Okay? And they'll beat them up. They say, you see how tough our school is? Then you had some other guys that, it's one-on-one. Oh, no, we don't want to fight one-on-one. We're friends. But they'll go pick on somebody 3-on-1, 4-on-1, just to prove a point. That's just cowards, But that exists. Okay, was it like a little gang? Yes, it's a little gang. So we have to take care of stuff like that, and we have to have a vigilant eye. We have to look and see what's going on. Not all the schools do this. The vast majority of the martial arts schools, they're good people running good there, because not only do they have a living to make, some of them, they use it as a vocation to support their family and so on and so forth. So they're not going to try to push that in there, but they're going to open it up to the remainder of the world, very public. They're not going to vet. They're just going to absorb everybody that comes in. And guess what happens when that happens in there? You might get some bad apples. Unfortunately, I have always been opposed to drugs. I've opposed them since I was a kid. I had a lot of friends that got involved with them. I have a lot of acquaintances that have not only overdosed, have gone in and out of jail. Their family lives are all torn up. So I've always shied away from that. When I moved back down to Laredo, we had a group of guys here, and one of them, you can find out, several of them were smoking weed. Well, I kicked them out. I became the enemy. Oh, the professor kicked us out. Professor's this, the professor's an asshole. Professor doesn't like us. We're too good. He kicked us out. I don't want that, because I am under the impression that one rotten apple ruins the barrel. I do not want that for this year, for the school. I do not want that to be as my name, because that'll be the fourth part that I'll explain, the name. It's your reference. People are going to look at your students in the street. People know who they are. And they're going to say, Paul Buitron taught them that. So-and-so taught them that. You're going to get that feeling. You don't think people know if schools go, or what school somebody's going to? People talk, people see, especially now with social media, people see pictures. So you want to have that moral compass. You have to have it right. At least I do. Now, back to the original question. Can martial artists be used for the wrong? All the time. Enforcers for the mob, bodyguards to the mob, some of the terrorists, that organization, don't you think they're training in something? I mean, you had ISIS putting video after video on how they were training in hand-to-hand combat. Those are martial arts. Yet martial artists bragging on how they were teaching the leftist extremists to fight against Republicans openly on social media. You had that. So people, you have to understand that martial arts has been used for a very long time. It was actually taught to people not only in villages to protect the villages, then it became, let's protect our children. They were taught that. In the Renaissance, you had a lot of schools open. Yeah, and I keep saying this, a lot of people forget that New Orleans had the most schools for martial arts ever, actually dueling schools. You learn how to do with a knife, with a pistol, with a sword. They were teaching you how to do that. So you had people from all over the United States sending their young men and women to New Orleans to learn how to fight. Imagine that. People forget that. The last school that was there, I think it closed down in 1920s. So it's always been around. You send your child to go learn how to defend himself. Most of the fighting arts that were around in pre-World War II, pre-Korea, was boxing. Korea brought some of judo and brought some of actually World War II brought judo and some of those Japanese arts into the forefront in the United States. And then during the Korean conflict, you had a lot of the Korean arts that were brought out of Asia and brought to the United States that were abundant. Then during Vietnam, you had a lot of Vietnamese arts that were brought over, and they were named American Karate because of especially here in the United States, because people didn't want to associate Vietnam for that. But there's a lot of Vietnamese arts that are still practiced here today that had origins in Vietnam, but they changed the name because it came here to the U.S. In other countries, they've kept the names of Viet Vinh Dao and those martial arts from Vietnam, which are very, very pretty, very nice arts. Then as the different ethnic groups started coming in, you started seeing the martial artists from the Filipinos. The Eskrima started coming into play. You started seeing, how can you say, some of the blade fighting, and you started seeing these the subculture of fighting, of pugilism, of a culture of different ethnic groups started bursting out. So you started finding out, hey, what's that guy doing over there? Well, his uncle teaches him how to fight. His uncle also teaches boxing. So you kind of went that route, okay? But again, the way you learn the art and the way you contribute to it in society is by your own moral compass, and how the moral you kind of mirror the moral compass of the teacher that you were under. Get my drift? And that's what I'm saying. Can it be used, back to that question, can it be used for doing wrong things? Yes, it can be. And it still is. But there's martial arts schools here that do not care what kind of student they produce for society. As long as they're getting paid, they could care less what kind of student goes into society. A lot of people do not understand that a lot of Hell's Angels, they did Kempo. Kempo was a street fighting art, both Gaju Kempo with American Kempo or Kempo in general. So you had a lot of biker gangs that ended up with that. Then later on, you had a lot of biker gangs that were dealing more with the Eskrima. They're going to get into a fight with a stick and knife. So that type of elements are going in there. So you have to see the culture. You have to see where they're at, and see how it became part of society, and the way the attitudes for a practitioner to mirror are that of their instructor. If the instructor's laid back, likes to go out and smoke one or two out in the parking lot, well, guess what his students are going to do? Smoke one or two with him, and then you're going to start getting the age group going down, and by the time you know it, half the school there smokes out. Understand? If you have a teacher that likes to drink beer and while teaching, I've seen many of them, some great individuals that learn how to fight, great individuals that have arts and stand-up guys, but guess what? They drink while they're teaching. Well, guess what? Their students drink while they're teaching as well. It's just part of that. So you have to understand that whatever you do as an instructor is picked up and mimicked by the students, and that's how they're going to be. Now, the question is, can a student pick up a fighting ability of the instructor? Of course, that's what they're there for. If the instructor's a good fighter, more likely their students are going to be. The majority of the percentage are going to be that way. If the instructor's a hot-headed individual that's going to stand up and start cursing you out, guess what? The students are going to be doing the same. There's a difference between cursing while you're talking. There's a difference between cursing while you're mad at somebody, and that's the difference between you getting cursed out because you have a hot head. Difference. All those attitudes, you as an instructor are actually teaching your students. And I'm being vague, okay? And I'm being broad. And I'm saying it the way it is, reality. Why? I've lived this. I've seen many instructors. I have great friends of mine that are teaching. I have great martial artists that have been coming in and out the door. I've seen martial arts in several countries. I've taught in several countries. I've taught police agencies throughout. There's going to be a lot of banter. There's going to be a lot of mirth in the schools. And that's good. But then you have to also recognize what type of schools they are. Go there. If you're a parent looking for a martial arts school, talk to the instructor. Find out what association he's in, what art he has, what rank he has he fought, just talk to him. Find out, are there rules for the school, what's he think about drugs. Talk to him. Be there. Make sure that your child, son or daughter, that if you're going to place them inside, is it safe? Look around. Come to the adult classes that he has as well. If people just come in nonchalantly without a care, is there lack of decorum? Is there decorum? Is there a respect, a tradition? Or if it's just you go in there whatever you want and do whatever you want? All that resonates. Remember, martial artists produce a lot of guys that want to be tough, produces a lot of tough guys as well. And, you hear me always talk about sidewalk thumpers and bone rollers. They exist too, okay? And most of the sidewalk thumpers that I know and bone rollers that I know, those guys that were very, very good fighters, both in and out of the ring, they're very mellow, they're very calm. They teach nonchalantly. But they have rules and regulations that they follow. They're very calm, their demeanor, they're not, how can I say, they're not out there to prove a point, but yet people know. Understand? Now, on the other thing, the tough guys are the loudest ones in the room, if you want to put it that way. And another thing that you can tell is look and see what kind of people train in the schools. Are they professionals? Are they people from families? Are they young guys in college? Or they high school? Or they're elementary? Look and see the atmosphere. Okay? Tell them, can I come here and train a couple of days? Sure. You're going to find out right away the way the school is run. You're going to find a way how the attitudes are, so that if you or your child or somebody that you know you're bringing them in to train, they're going to flow in a good sense. Always see the older students, because that's how you are going to end up at. Understand? So hopefully we can touch base on a couple of points on that question, that martial artists can be used for doing wrong. Yes, they can. And also, we got a new book out, 15th book. It's called From Crew to Tribe. It should be in our hands, should be shipped we should be getting a lot of books, and some of them are already bought. A lot of people prepaid for these books. And it's going to be, I'm excited about it because it teaches you not the actual martial art, punching and kicking. It teaches you how to use this as a vocation. Mistakes that I've made, things that I've learned, things that I've seen, things that take you into expanding and how to create your school and for it to stand out amongst the others. Okay? So that book, From Crew to Tribe, is already here. If you want to order it, You can email me at buitronacademy2012@gmail.com. There on the links, all the information how to order the book. If you want online classes, we do have those online training videos. You can become a member on YouTube. It's easy. So, with all that said, wish everybody a good week. Continue training and think about that. Why are we training? Our training reflects us, and we are a reflection of those that taught us. Till next time, peace.